The mystery of the unconscious mind. Who's really in control? Imagine this. You're driving home after a long day. Your hands are on the wheel, your foot presses the accelerator, and you take every turn at just the right moment. But your mind? It's elsewhere. Maybe thinking about tomorrow's tasks, an argument you had, or a song stuck in your head. Then suddenly, you're home. You park the car, step inside, and a strange realization hits you. I don't remember the last several minutes of my drive. The traffic lights, the lane changes, even stopping at intersections. It all happened automatically, without your conscious awareness. So who was driving? Was it really you? This eerie experience is a perfect example of how much of our life runs on autopilot. Neuroscientist David Eagleman explores this very phenomenon in Incognito, The Secret Lives of the Brain. He argues that our conscious self, the part of us that thinks, reasons, and makes decisions, is just a tiny fraction of what's really going on in our brain. The iceberg model of the mind. Think of your brain like an iceberg. The part above water represents your conscious awareness, what you actively think about, like solving a math problem or deciding what to eat. But below the surface lies a vast, hidden world, the subconscious mind, which handles almost everything else. Your subconscious takes care of thousands of tasks without needing your attention. It regulates your breathing, keeps your heart beating, and even processes complex movements, like driving, without requiring conscious effort. This is why you can navigate traffic, react to sudden changes, and perform precise maneuvers, all while daydreaming. But this raises an important question. If so much of our life happens unconsciously, how much control do we really have? The illusion of conscious control. Eagleman explains that we often think we are in control, but most of our decisions, actions, and even beliefs are shaped by unseen mental processes. Your subconscious mind processes information at incredible speeds, long before your conscious mind even catches up. Consider this. When you touch a hot stove, your hand pulls away before you feel the pain. That's because your brain processes danger signals in your spinal cord first. Your conscious awareness of pain arrives after your body has already acted. This is true not just for reflexes, but also for decision-making. Studies have shown that when people make choices, like pressing a button, brain scans can predict their decision before they are even aware of it. Why this matters. Understanding the power of the subconscious can change how we see ourselves. It challenges the idea that we are always rational decision makers. Instead, much of what we do, our habits, instincts, and even biases, are shaped by processes we don't fully understand. This also means that changing behavior isn't just about willpower. If you've ever struggled to break a bad habit, it's because your subconscious mind operates on deeply ingrained patterns. The good news? Just like it can learn to drive automatically, it can also be trained to adopt better habits, if we know how to influence it. What's next? In this summary, we'll dive into how your subconscious mind controls your thoughts, decisions, and even your identity, often without your awareness. We'll explore real-life experiments that reveal the brain's hidden mechanisms, and most importantly, we'll uncover what you can do to take back control. So, are you ready to explore the secret lives of your brain? Let's dive in. The brain is a team, not a seed. Most of us believe we are the sole decision makers in our lives. We like to think there is a single I in charge, carefully weighing options, making choices, and steering us in the right direction. But according to neuroscientist David Eagleman in Incognito, The Secret Lives of the Brain, this is an illusion. In reality, your brain is not a single unified entity. It is more like a committee of different voices, each competing for control. Sometimes these voices align, making decisions easy. Other times they clash, leading to internal conflicts, impulsive behavior, and self-contradiction. Let's explore how this works. The brain is a battle of opposing forces. Your brain is structured like a team of specialists, rather than a dictatorship. Different parts of your brain have different goals, and they often disagree on what's best for you. Think of your brain like a boardroom meeting with multiple departments. 1. The rational planner. This part of your brain focuses on long-term success. It tells you to eat healthy, exercise, save money, and work hard. 2. The emotional craver. This part seeks instant gratification. It wants the pizza, the extra hour of sleep, or the unnecessary online purchase. 3. The habit machine. This part follows automatic patterns, regardless of whether they are good or bad. If you've always checked your phone first thing in the morning, this system will make sure you do it again. Now, here's where things get interesting. These systems don't always agree. Example, the pizza dilemma. Imagine you're trying to eat healthy. You're at a party, and someone offers you a slice of pizza. Your rational planner says, "No, I'm on a diet. I should eat something healthy instead." Your emotional craver says, "Come on, one slice won't hurt. Look at that melted cheese." Your habit machine says, "Every time I come to a party, I eat pizza. Let's do it again." In this moment, a battle is happening inside your brain. If the rational planner wins, you might walk away and grab some salad. If the emotional craver wins, you'll grab the pizza, eat it, and then come up with a justification. It's okay. I'll start my diet tomorrow. This process happens all the time, whether it's resisting a temptation, deciding whether to wake up early, or choosing between saving or spending money. Different parts of your brain are constantly negotiating, competing, and making compromises. The illusion of a single you. What's fascinating is that we often don't notice this inner conflict. Instead, we trick ourselves into believing that we made a decision, even when it was actually the result of a subconscious battle. Example: a smoker trying to quit may say, "I know smoking is bad, but I just can't stop." What's really happening is that their rational planner knows smoking is harmful, but their habit machine and emotional craver still hold power. This explains why people sometimes behave in ways that seem irrational or self-contradictory. It's not because they lack willpower. It's because different systems within their brain are pulling in opposite directions. Who's really in control? Since the brain isn't a single entity, but a team of competing voices, there isn't one true you making every decision. Instead, your conscious mind takes credit for decisions after they are made. You justify actions even when they were driven by subconscious processes. Your subconscious mind does most of the work, guiding actions based on emotions, habits, and past experiences. This raises an important question. How can we take back control? Recognizing your internal conflict. When you struggle to make a decision, pause and identify the voices in your head. Is it your rational planner speaking? Or is your emotional craver taking over? Training your subconscious. If you build better habits, your habit machine will start working in your favor. Instead of fighting temptation, you can program your brain to automatically make better choices. Using rewards wisely. Since the emotional craver responds to pleasure, you can use small rewards to trick it into choosing better behaviors. For example, pairing exercise with music you love can make it more enjoyable. Final thought. Your brain is not a dictatorship. It's a democracy, with different voices constantly arguing over your choices. Understanding this can help you make better decisions and take control of your actions. So, next time you find yourself grabbing a slice of pizza when you're supposed to be on a diet, ask yourself, who just won the battle in my brain? The hidden influence of the subconscious. We like to believe that we are rational beings, making thoughtful and logical decisions. But in Incognito, The Secret Lives of the Brain, David Eagleman reveals a shocking truth. Most of what we do is driven by our subconscious mind, not conscious thought. Our decisions, opinions, and even moral judgments are shaped by invisible mental processes that operate outside of our awareness. These unconscious forces influence everything, from the foods we crave to the people we trust, and even the punishments judges give in court. Let's explore how these hidden forces shape our lives in ways we never realize. The courtroom experiment: how hunger affects justice. Imagine you're a judge, sitting in court, deciding whether a prisoner deserves parole. You believe you are making fair and rational decisions based purely on the facts of each case. But a shocking study revealed something disturbing. The time of day, and whether the judge had recently eaten, significantly affected the decisions. The study. Researchers analyzed over 1,100 parole decisions by Israeli judges. They found that, before lunch, judges were far harsher, denying parole about 65% of the time. After lunch, they became more lenient, granting parole about 85% of the time. Why did this happen? The judges weren't consciously thinking, "I'm hungry, so I'll be tougher on this prisoner." Instead, their subconscious minds were influencing their decisions without them realizing it. When they were hungry and mentally exhausted, their brains defaulted to the easiest, safest choice, rejecting parole. But after eating, their energy levels were restored, making them more willing to carefully consider each case. This shows that even in serious, high-stakes situations, hidden forces like hunger can unknowingly shape our judgment. Your subconscious is always at work. This experiment is just one example of how our subconscious mind constantly influences us. Here are some other ways it operates in daily life. 1. First impressions. How fast do you judge someone? Did you know? It takes just 0.1 seconds for your brain to form an opinion about a stranger's trustworthiness. Studies show that people judge others within milliseconds based on facial features, posture, or tone of voice, long before logical reasoning kicks in. Your subconscious makes snap judgments, and your conscious mind then tries to justify them. For example, if someone reminds you of a kind teacher from your childhood, you might instinctively trust them more. If they resemble someone who once hurt you, you might feel uneasy, even if they've done nothing wrong. These unconscious biases shape your friendships, hiring decisions, and even romantic choices without you knowing why. 2. Why do people buy more when they smell fresh bread? Ever walked past a bakery and suddenly craved something sweet? That's your subconscious mind reacting to environmental cues. Stores and restaurants use scents, music, and colors to influence your behavior. Supermarkets place fresh bread near the entrance because the smell makes you hungry. and more likely to buy impulsively. High-end stores play slow, relaxing music because it makes you spend more time and money in the store. Fast food chains use red and yellow in their logos because these colors increase hunger and speed up decisions. All of this happens at a subconscious level. You feel like you're making a choice, but your brain was influenced before you even realized it. 3. How names and words shape our decisions. Would you trust a hurricane named Hurricane Bob or Hurricane Katrina more? Research shows that hurricanes with female names are perceived as less dangerous, leading people to take fewer precautions, even though the storms are equally destructive. This is just one example of how language triggers hidden biases in our brain. The way something is named or phrased can completely change how we react to it. Examples: a carbon tax sounds negative, but calling it a carbon offset makes people more likely to support it. Saying 97% fat-free feels healthier than 3% fat, even though both mean the same thing. People are more likely to vote for a candidate with a name that sounds familiar or easy to pronounce. These subtle influences work in the background, shaping our choices before we are even aware of them. Can we override our subconscious? Since our subconscious mind is making so many decisions for us, does that mean we are powerless? Not at all. By becoming aware of these hidden influences, we can train ourselves to think more critically and make better choices. Here's how. 1. Pause before making a quick judgment. If you instantly dislike someone or assume something is true, ask yourself, am I reacting logically, or is my subconscious bias influencing me? Check your environment. If you're shopping or making a big decision, notice how your surroundings might be affecting you. Are scents, colors, or background music altering your mood? Be aware of your physical state. If you're tired, hungry, or stressed, your subconscious is more likely to make impulsive emotional decisions. Try to avoid major choices in these states. 4. Use this knowledge to your advantage. You can also harness these subconscious effects to improve your life. For example, if you want to stay productive, play upbeat music to boost focus. If you want to form a habit, associate it with a specific trigger, e.g., always exercise after brushing your teeth. Final thought: the power of the subconscious. Your subconscious mind is like a silent puppet master, shaping your thoughts, choices, and actions in ways you rarely notice. From courtroom decisions to shopping habits, much of what you do is influenced by invisible forces, not careful reasoning. But the good news? Once you understand these hidden influences, you can start making choices more consciously. So next time you make a decision, ask yourself, am I really in control, or is my subconscious mind pulling the strings? The illusion of free will. Are you really in control? We like to believe that we are in full control of our thoughts, decisions, and actions. When you decide to pick up a coffee, send a text, or choose a movie to watch, it feels like a conscious choice. But what if I told you that your brain had already made the decision before you were even aware of it? David Eagleman, in Incognito, The Secret Lives of the Brain, argues that free will might just be an illusion. Our brains operate largely on autopilot, with decisions being made beneath the surface before our conscious mind even catches up. Let's explore the science behind this unsettling idea. The brain decides before you do. The famous experiment. One of the most famous studies on free will was conducted by neuroscientist Benjamin Libet in the 1980s. His experiment revealed something shocking. Your brain decides your actions before you do. The experiment. Participants were asked to press a button whenever they felt like it. While they did this, their brain activity was monitored using EEG, a machine that tracks electrical signals in the brain. They were also asked to note the exact moment they consciously decided to press the button. The results. The brain showed activity 300 milliseconds to 7 seconds before the person was aware of their choice. In other words, their subconscious mind had already made the decision, and their conscious mind only became aware of it afterward. This suggests that what we experience as a conscious decision is actually our brain's way of justifying a choice that was already made subconsciously. What this means for free will. If decisions are made before we are aware of them, then are we really making choices? Or are we just observing the results of neural processes we don't control? Eagleman argues that our brain is like a supercomputer, running programs behind the scenes. We don't have as much control as we think. Instead, we often act on impulses that were determined before our conscious awareness kicked in. Our free will might just be the brain's way of justifying actions that were already decided subconsciously. Hidden influences on our decisions. Even beyond experiments, everyday life is filled with evidence that our choices are shaped by forces we don't fully control. 1. The shopping trick. Why we buy what we buy. Have you ever bought something on impulse and later rationalized why it was a good decision? Marketers use colors, sounds, and smells to trigger unconscious desires. You might think you're buying a product because you logically decided to, but your subconscious was already influenced by the store layout, music, or packaging before you even realized it. 2. The dating illusion. Why we like some people instantly. Why do some people seem attractive to us right away? Studies show that our brain makes snap judgments about people within milliseconds. You might say you like someone because of their personality, but your subconscious may have already decided based on subtle cues, like voice tone or facial symmetry. The criminal brain. Can we blame people for their actions? If our decisions are made before we're aware of them, then how much responsibility do we have for our actions? Eagleman describes cases where brain damage completely changed a person's behavior. Example, a man with a brain tumor suddenly developed an obsession with gambling. When the tumor was removed, his addiction disappeared. This suggests that in some cases, behavior is dictated by physical changes in the brain, not personal choice. Can we ever regain control? If free will is an illusion, does that mean we are powerless? Not exactly. While our subconscious influences us heavily, we can train ourselves to become more aware of hidden biases and external influences. Here's how. 1. Pause before making big decisions. If you feel an impulse to do something, take a moment to ask, is this really my choice, or was I influenced by something I'm not aware of? 2. Become aware of your triggers. Notice when certain moods or situations affect your decisions. 3. Use pre-commitment strategies. Since you can't always trust your moment-to-moment decisions, set rules in advance. E.g., I will only eat dessert once a week. Final thought. Are you in control? David Eagleman's research challenges one of our deepest beliefs, that we are in full control of our actions. In reality, much of what we do is influenced by unconscious processes that happen before our conscious mind even catches up. Next time you make a decision, ask yourself, did I really choose this, or did my brain decide for me? Criminals truly responsible. We often think of criminals as people who make bad choices, as if they had complete control over their actions. But what if crime isn't just about choice? What if a person's brain structure could make them more likely to commit a crime? David Eagleman in Incognito, The Secret Lives of the Brain, challenges the way we think about crime, punishment, and responsibility. He reveals shocking cases where brain abnormalities have led to criminal behavior. And once those abnormalities were fixed, the behavior disappeared. This raises an uncomfortable question. Should we blame criminals if their brains are wired differently? Let's dive deeper. Case study. The man with the brain tumor. Imagine this. A normal, law-abiding man suddenly develops uncontrollable impulses. He becomes obsessed with gambling, pornography, and inappropriate behavior. His family is shocked. This wasn't like him at all. Eventually, he is arrested for his behavior. But something strange happens. Doctors discover he has a brain tumor pressing on his frontal lobe, the area responsible for self-control and decision-making. The tumor is surgically removed, and just like that, the compulsions vanish. He returns to his normal self. This raises huge ethical questions. If the tumor was controlling his behavior, was he really guilty? Could other criminals also have hidden brain abnormalities influencing their actions? Should our justice system punish people for crimes they had little control over? Eagleman explains that sense of right and wrong is deeply tied to brain function. Different parts of the brain work together to regulate impulse control, moral reasoning, empathy, aggression. If one of these systems is damaged or malfunctioning, it can drastically change a person's behavior, often in ways they can't control. Example, Phineas Gage, the personality change case. In 1848, railroad worker Phineas Gage suffered a brain injury when an iron rod pierced his skull. He survived, but his personality changed completely. Once polite and responsible, he became impulsive, aggressive, and reckless. This showed scientists that damage to certain brain areas can change moral behavior, sometimes making a person more prone to criminal activity. The science of criminal behavior. Eagleman describes scientific studies that show how criminal behavior is linked to brain function. 1. Brain scans of violent criminals. Researchers scanned the brains of convicted criminals and found abnormalities in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making and self-control. People with a damaged prefrontal cortex are more likely to act on impulse, struggle with empathy, and engage in violent behavior. The warrior gene. Are some people born to be aggressive? Scientists have identified a gene called MAOA, sometimes called the warrior gene. People with a low-functioning MAOA gene are more prone to aggression, especially if they had a traumatic childhood. This suggests that both genetics and environment shape criminal behavior. Crime in the justice system. Should we punish or treat? Traditionally, the justice system assumes that criminals make rational choices. They know what they are doing and should be held accountable. But Eagleman argues that many criminals may not have full control over their actions due to brain disorders or trauma. Instead of just punishing, society should focus on rehabilitation, identifying brain disorders early. If a brain tumor or neurological condition is causing dangerous impulses, treatment should come before a crime happens. Using neuroscience to predict risk. Brain scans and psychological tests could help identify who is at risk of violent behavior. Fixing the brain, not just punishing the person, instead of just sending people to prison. We should explore ways to repair faulty brain function through medical or psychological treatment. Final thought. Are criminals born or made? Eagleman doesn't claim that every criminal has a brain disorder, but he does challenge the idea that crime is always a conscious choice. Many biological and environmental factors shape behavior, and some criminals may not have full control over their actions. This forces us to rethink. Should we treat criminals as bad people or as people with broken brains? Does punishment alone actually fix the problem? Can neuroscience help prevent crime before it happens? The answers aren't simple, but one thing is clear. Our understanding of criminal behavior is changing, and so should our approach to justice. How to use this knowledge in daily life. Understanding how your subconscious mind works isn't just fascinating. It's practical. It can help you make better decisions, avoid mental traps, and even rewire your brain for success. David Eagleman's insights in Incognito show us that we are not always in control, but if we become aware of our brain's hidden influences, we can take back some of that control. Let's break down 3 key strategies to apply this knowledge in real life. 1. Be aware of hidden influences. Who's really making your choices? Most of us assume we are in charge of our decisions, but in reality, our subconscious guides most of our thoughts and actions, often without us noticing. Example. The power of advertising. Ever wonder why fast food restaurants use red and yellow in their logos? Studies show that these colors trigger hunger and excitement, making you more likely to crave food, even if you weren't hungry before. Examples, the framing effect. Imagine 2 options at a grocery store. 90% fat-free yogurt contains 10% fat yogurt. Even though both are the same, most people will choose the 90% fat-free option because it sounds healthier. Your subconscious is influenced by how information is presented, rather than just the facts. How to apply this? Before making big decisions, pause and ask, am I being influenced by something I'm not aware of? Be mindful of how information is framed, whether in ads, news, or personal choices. Recognize that your emotions can be manipulated, especially in situations like shopping, voting, or negotiating. 2. Don't trust your first instinct blindly. Your gut feeling can be wrong. We love the idea of following our intuition, but sometimes our first reaction is based on subconscious biases rather than logic. Example, the halo effect. If someone is physically attractive, we tend to assume they are also intelligent, kind, and competent, even if we have no evidence. This bias affects job interviews, elections, and even court decisions. Example, snap judgments about people. Have you ever met someone and instantly disliked them without knowing why? Or trusted someone too quickly, only to regret it later? Often, these feelings come from subconscious biases, past experiences, or social conditioning, not from logical thinking. How to apply this? Before making important judgments, step back and analyze your instincts. Ask yourself, am I reacting based on facts, or am I just assuming something? Take time before making big decisions, especially in relationships, hiring, or investments. Factor 3, train your brain. You can reshape your subconscious. The good news, your subconscious isn't fixed. It can be retrained through conscious effort. Example, habit formation. Eagleman explains that repeating behaviors over time rewires your subconscious, making good habits automatic. Want to eat healthier? Start by keeping junk food out of sight. Your subconscious craves what it sees often. Want to be more confident? Practice small acts of confidence daily. Your subconscious will start to believe it's your natural state. Want to learn a new skill? Repetition trains your brain to make it second nature. Example, the power of mental rehearsal. Studies show that visualizing success activates the same brain pathways as actually practicing. That's why athletes, musicians, and public speakers use mental rehearsal to improve performance. How to apply this? Be intentional about what you expose your brain to. Your subconscious absorbs everything. Surround yourself with positive influences, productive habits, and goal-oriented environments.